welcome in everybody to another episode of the Brett Allen Show. We're heading into a long weekend, and what a perfect opportunity to have this conversation. We are talking all things Archer, season 13, which is airing now on FX and FXX. Sounds like I'm cussing in front of my child and trying to cover stuff up. We're chatting with one of the stars, Amber Nash, who plays this show is just so smart. Pam Poovey. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Well, 13 seasons is huge for anything, especially for an animated series. But really, this show is so good. I was about a season or two behind to the start, and then now I've been following it in real time. And you guys announced that you guys had another season coming. How does it feel to sort of had the longevity for this, and to just have something that is so smartly written, just have such continued success?
It's amazing. I think that, in the beginning, like with every show, we didn't know how it would go or how it would be received. And we got lucky that people loved it and that FX stuck with us. It might not have had as long of a longevity as it's had if we hadn't had that time in the beginning to really get rolling, And so it's so special. Like, I still can't believe that it's 13 seasons. It's bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are giving Grey's Anatomy a run for their money as far as your show's way better, I think, if we're being honest. But
thank you.
They're like on their 29th, 100th season or something like that. But it's just so smartly written, and it's satirical, it's smart, it's stylized. I mean, it's kind of dirty a little bit. There's just a lot going on. I want to wind the clock a little bit and just kind of talk about what sort of attracted you to the project and how you sort of became involved with it. Because it started off a little bit slow and then really caught fire. And now it's just, on and on and on, successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, what attracted me to the project is that it was a job. Like, I was like, oh, you want to put me on a TV show? Like, hell yeah, I'm there. So I was super stoked. I mean, before Archer, I'd done a few voice jobs, like doing stuff for Cartoon Network. And I had been on Frisky Dingo with the same guys. And it was just a dream come true. I was like, oh my God, I would have done any show. But luckily, I got put on Archer, which I became a fan of. Like everybody, kind of watching it as it came out and getting to know the show and the characters and my character and Pam really blossoming. Like you said, it kind of was a slow start, particularly for Pam. Like, I don't think she was supposed to be there for much longer than a season. And then she became like so important to the show because I think what was happening is that Adam would be like, oh, we need somebody to do this. We'll give it to Pam. We need somebody to do this. We'll give it to Pam. And then after a while, I was like, oh my God, Pam can do anything. Like, she's totally unstoppable. And so that's how she became the Pam we love today.
Yeah, I mean, even for an animated series, you definitely see these characters evolve. You know what I mean? And it's not like lowbrow humor, really. It's very smartly written. You know what I'm saying? And it's really good. You know what I mean? I can't wait till my 8-year-old's old enough to be able to watch this, and sort of be able to appreciate other things. I mean, we've got a ways to go, but
yeah, sure.
But I also like your honesty and the fact that, you just needed work and you were kind of doing things. I mean, even Frisky Dingo was really smartly written too, going back into the early 2000s. So when you are sort of working on this and you get these scripts, are you recording with others locally in the same studio, or is it all done remotely now these days, even before COVID, just kind of, how does it work for you? Because I know it's different for everybody, especially when you're doing these animated projects.
Yeah. The way we do it now is the way we've always done it, even before COVID. And it's that I go into a studio that's in Atlanta. It's not at it's not at Floyd County, like where they make the show. It's just a studio that they rent. It's often different places. So I'm like, where are we at today? And they're just like, we'll rent a place that has space. And when I go in, I'm there with the producers and the showrunner and the director and maybe some editors, but I'm by myself in the booth. Like, they're on the other side sitting and giving me notes and eating snacks, and I'm in the booth by myself. And I'll see Lucky because he's also in Atlanta, so he'll usually either be there before or after me. And anybody else that they've got that's from Atlanta that are doing guest roles will be there. But we never work together. We all live in separate cities, and so yeah, it's the cheapest way to do it. I think is probably why we've always done it that way, and it's easy and it's fast. I mean, like I'll go in, and granted, Pam doesn't have like the most lines. Like if it was Aisha or John, obviously they'd probably be there longer because they usually have more lines. But I'll usually be there for like an hour, and that's like once every like 3 weeks when we're in production. So I don't have to go to work very often.
That's funny. Yeah, but I mean, I imagine it's just a lot of fun overall. How much of you do you have in this character, Pam? Like how much of your persona are you able to sort of put into it? Sort of, do you have any, connections to her, anything that you go, oh, I could see myself being this way. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot, but
yeah,
maybe you do. I don't know. I think some people do when they're creating characters, either even sort of the weird stuff or the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Not like a psychopath, a classic example, like his mom always thought he was a wonderful child, but you know what I mean? Just like, do you get to put yourself into it a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, I think the best actors are actors that find the character in themselves. Like you're not just going from nothing. Like you've got to have some kind of connection to whatever kind of character you're playing. And in the beginning, I think the character was very much written as Pam, and that goes for all the characters. But I think that as Adam got to know us better, he kind of started writing all the characters more for the actors. Because I mean, gosh, he wrote the first, Adam Reed, the creator, he wrote the first 10 seasons, and so he got to know us all really well. And like one of the things that I say in real life is ding dongs. It's one of my favorite things to call people. And so that started to make its way into episodes. And I think that I would like to believe that Adam realized that I was capable of more and that the character was capable of more. And that's how I kind of started to get more stuff and the character started to grow. Like, I wish I was as much of a badass as Pam, but I am totally not. Especially now that I'm like, 13 years older than I was when I started playing the character. Like, man, there's no way I could keep up with Pam. But I've always been like one of the boys. I've always had like a dirty mouth. And so those are definitely things from my life that I can, pull from for Pam.
Yeah, well, I think FX is definitely the best network for this to be on because of some of the things that they say and do. And really, I think they're just kind of saying some things that people think or doing some things, The Office, water cooler gossip, to sort of the little more raunchy side of things. But it's done in good taste, I think, which, I think you go, oh, this is funny. And this is smart, not as I mentioned, like lowbrow humor. I don't know, maybe even that might be okay a little bit.
You're totally right. That's what I say all the time is the reason we get to be as dirty as we are is because the show's smart. So we've earned it by the time we get there, and it doesn't raise as many eyebrows. Because when something's just dirty for the sake of being dirty and isn't smart, that's bad comedy, and everybody knows it when they see it.
It's lazy, I think. You know what I mean? As a comedian, even when kind of bridging the gap to like maybe a stand-up, when you see them on stage and you're like, okay, this is funny, but I don't know, maybe they're just working out new material.
Yeah,
that was a key for me to learn a long time ago. Is if I'm going to go see somebody in a club, they're definitely working on something. You know what I mean? You get that. But, or if it's just pure raunch, you're like, I think this is a little lazy, maybe.
Totally.
I don't know. I think it takes a lot of humility and a lot of whatever to get up and do anything that you folks do, but I get it. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me, have you seen We Bare Bears or Solar Opposites maybe, or sort of some of these, Crossing Swords on Hulu? It's just very smart, raunchy humor. Seth Green said it that way. He's like, it's just smart. And we can do it because it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And it's not really a bridge too far. So you must just have a blast working on the show because it's so much fun. I can't imagine it not be.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like it's like a dream come true, really. Like the fact that I get to do it. And, I was joking about how I don't have to go to work very often. And I wish I could. Like, I love being in the booth. I love playing the character. I love being with the guys and doing what we do. And, I don't get to see the cast very often because we all live in separate cities. So like when we're all together, that's so much fun. And it's a totally different energy when we're all together that we only get to give like panel audiences, or if we're somewhere, like if we're at the Emmys together or something. So people don't get to see, like, that's not part of making the show, unfortunately. It's part of promoting the show. But yeah, we have a blast. It's really a dream.
Yeah, I saw even your posts from Comic-Con and stuff, just people, it's a very like, it's interesting because having gone to these cons and you watch these shows and you just have a super dedicated fan base, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that has to be great, you know what I mean, to just show up to these things and have people fawn over the fact that, you guys have just created such a smart show.
Yeah.
And they know the deep cuts, right? Do you have people try and quote lines to you at these events?
Oh my God. Yeah. People know so much more about the show than I do. Like people ask questions and I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. You clearly know the answer to this because you know so much more about the show. Because I've watched every episode once, and there's fans that have literally watched every episode like lots of times and know how it all works together. And it's amazing how much the fans know. And what's really cool too is like after so many years we've been on the air, we've definitely lost some people like that weren't going to stick around forever. Because I get that. I don't love to watch a show forever and ever. And so the people that have really stuck with us, it's like, man, it's just super special.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I think is really cool is like most of the press you do, if not all, is really sort of geared towards people who are fans of the show and can talk about it intelligently, right? Which I think is cool. I mean, because it's one thing to do something if you're plugging it, but then to really be able to sort of go, okay, this person has at least watched it and knows what they're talking about. I mean, everybody's great on this show, and I'm excited to see where it takes us for the rest of the season. I want to switch gears here as we kind of wrap and talk about some of the things that you have going on. How to Ruin the Holidays, which you are the lead in and executive produced, and you star alongside Colin Mockery, which he's been on the show before. Let's talk about this. Aisha Taylor, Henry Zabrowski, Luke Davis. What can people expect when they get a chance to see this? Whatever you can share.
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun making the movie and being with Colin. He's, as you know, like the nicest, most genuine, like really funny, great guy to be around. So he plays my dad. I'm a struggling comedian that goes home for the holidays, and my family's a shit show, like a lot of families. And my character has right, exactly. My character has a brother with special needs, and that kind of changes the family dynamics. And it's a really fun, sweet, but also dirty, but smart holiday movie. We like to say it's like Little Miss Sunshine meets Bad Santa.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really fun. It will probably be out next Christmas, so don't forget about it. But the best thing that people can do to find out more is to just follow us on social media. So we're at How to Ruin the Holidays on Twitter and Instagram, and we're also on TikTok. And we've got a bunch of really fun videos from Colin on TikTok.
He's really funny. But one of the things that I found fascinating about him is when we were talking, like, I don't want to say he's very serious about his craft. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
You expect, well, we had Brad Sherwood on and he was just cracking jokes the entire time. But it's just interesting to talk to these people, even yourself, where you kind of get to see the other side of things and really, because you do a lot of other things too. You're doing improv and all of that sort of thing. I want to ask one last question. When you're doing press and you're just talking to people in general, are you able to flip things on and off pretty easily and just kind of be your natural self? Or do press or people sort of expect you to be a certain way because you are funny, and that sort of thing?
That's such a great question. I think that anytime you're like facing an audience of any kind, whether it's online or at a panel where there's hundreds of people, like you have to kind of be on. But I do think that for myself personally, because I'm older, like if I had gotten this show when I was like 19, I don't know how I would be able to manage it. But because I was like a fully formed human being when Archer started, like I was an adult. And so I really do feel like I can be myself, and I don't have to, like, it's not a character that people are getting. It is like more energy, and it's more like, here we go. But it's definitely who I am. And because I do improv, I've been on stage, for 25 years. And so I'm pretty used to being in front of people, but getting to be myself and not have to say anything other than what I'm thinking. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I think that's why people connect with me, is because they're just like, oh, she's just a regular person. So whenever people get like kind of like starstruck, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm such a normal, regular person,
Yeah, and for a lot, it can be very polarizing for them too, because if you just, I mean, there's obviously the level of respect and professionalism that's
Sure.
a mutual given, obviously, but like, because what we see on TV is definitely not necessarily what we see in person.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of get this perception of that, unless you're talking to like Joel McHale, then he's just that way all the time. And that guy
Yeah.
is on 24/7.
Yeah.
He says, I drive my wife crazy, but, or even with Colin, it's like, we're not running bits at the dinner table or washing dishes.
Yeah.
We're just being ourselves. Well, everybody, please be sure to watch Archer on FX and FXX, the highly anticipated season 13. And of course, our special guest, Amber, who stars as Pam Poovey, and then all the other great projects. Frisky Dingo, the list goes on and on. Are you done with the cons right now, or you still have a few more left to go?
I don't have any coming up, but we usually go to New York Comic Con. I don't even know if that's happening this year, because everything's just kind of slowly getting rolling again. We just had San Diego back this year.
Yeah.
So I don't have any coming up, but I'm sure I'll be at one soon.
Awesome. Well, Amber, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was fun.